Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I have a video for you tonight I think you're gonna like. It's me reviewing a YouTuber that goes to jail, post a video about his experiences. And I wanna explain those experiences to you guys, coming from a person who not only knows about jail and prisons, can give advice if something happens to somebody else in jail or prison. But this guy is named Boogie2988. He's a pretty big YouTuber and he got arrested. And I'll get into this in a minute. Before I get started, please check me out on the YouTube member program. Check me out on Discord, Patreon, all the platforms there are. Please, I'm going to be going on them. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel in a right way so we can make a difference about prison and jail and reform of that nature. So, let me get into this video. Boogie2988, he's a guy named Francis. He's from Arkansas. He gets arrested for shooting a gun, discharging a gun in his house. And here's what kind of got me a little bit worried. He had some fans, I guess, that were giving him a hard time, or people coming to his house or something. And he came out and he shot the gun in the air, which is obviously illegal. So he doesn't get arrested for more than 5 months later. And why he gets arrested could be a whole bunch of stuff. And who really knows why? Obviously, prosecutors can bide their time and they can arrest you when they want, up to a certain time. There is a limitation on when they can charge you with the crime. It's usually 5 years. But there's also other charges on misdemeanors and lower level crimes that there's a time frame on those. So we're not going to get into that as it is. But I'm going to get into his experience in jail. Now here's the base of the video. He gets arrested and he gets taken to jail and he explains the situation of him in jail or going to jail. And I'm going to give a little bit on this. But on the charge itself, one of my charges in my record was once discharging a firearm in the city limits. And that's more like what he has. They had something with an assault. Kind of weird. Mine was discharging a firearm in city limits, and that's illegal for a lot of reasons. Obviously, somebody can get hurt. But let's get into his video experience and his experience in jail, and he goes into that. So let's try this one.
So it's been about a year since there was a warrant issued out for my arrest, and I had to go turn myself in to the detention center to get booked and processed and then eventually released. And this experience was completely different than I was expecting. It was even very different from what my lawyer was expecting. And I've been wanting to tell the story ever since it happened, and I wasn't able to. But today I can. So I'm going to tell you exactly how it went down, exactly what happened.
Well, what he said was pretty amazing. Like, you know, they came to his door and they made him self-turn in. They do that. Obviously, I'm very surprised in his case why he didn't go there with his lawyer in tow. Most people go to county jails, or when they turn themselves into the police, they'll go with their attorney. In this case, he gets advice from an attorney, what to bring and all this kind of stuff. And either it shows me it's a very, very minor case, or this lawyer really didn't know what he was doing. Always bring your lawyer. I mean, if you have a lawyer, you bring him, and even the facility knows that you're going in with the lawyer, and they might do things quicker to get rid of you. They don't want a lawyer hanging around waiting for you either. The less lawyers around their facility, the better they're going to feel. So let's keep going.
I think we're all aware of the incident that happened in September of 2020 at this point, where a dude who'd been harassing me for a while showed up at my front door, and I made the stupid decision to allegedly fire a pistol in the air as a warning shot to scare the guy away.
I like what he says, allegedly. Believe me, if he did it, obviously, allegedly, I never said allegedly. I just shut my fucking mouth. If that's even the case, I wouldn't even be talking about it.
After about 5 months, I finally got charged with aggravated assault.
And you know, he's charged with aggravated assault. Unless people are saying he's shooting at them, that's a hard one. Shooting in the air is a crime again, and that's more of discharging a firearm in city limits or in an area you're not allowed to. So that's enough for him. But look, I want to get into this when he gets to the jail.
And the way they came to that charge was, theoretically, one of my neighbors could have gotten hurt if I fired a pistol in the air, and that bullet had to come down somewhere. There was a chance, however small it may be, that someone could have gotten hurt. And a lot of people have wondered why they took 5 months to charge me instead of charging me right away. And I think it's partially that they were building a case. But I also think it's because they understood my side and everything. And I don't think they were ever going to originally charge me.
I don't know about that. You know, he's saying that he's not sure if they just liked me and they understood his side. Listen, the prosecutors make the decision, either charge or not, investigate or not. And when it comes back, it's pretty cut and dry. It usually goes by the law. Again, Arkansas, maybe not. I don't know the exact laws of Arkansas, but I do know the laws of county jails. And that's where we're going in this one.
But we did have several gun-related incidents here in Northwest Arkansas at the about 5-month mark after my incident. And they decided to throw the book at me and everybody else because of that. I think they wanted to look tough on gun crime, which is, I mean, a fair thing to do. Now, when I found out I was getting charged, I was actually out of state. I was traveling up in Missouri with my friend Jacob the Carpetbagger. And my lawyer called me in my hotel. And then about 10 minutes later, Keemstar called me in my hotel. He knew that I was getting charged within minutes of my lawyer knowing I'm getting charged.
Now, them contacting you is normal. Obviously, they don't want him arrested out of state because then they have to pay to extradite him back into the state. They could have just waited till he got back without calling him and got him. If, you know, obviously he doesn't even know what's going on. In this case, they were courteous. They said, listen, come back or call your lawyer. Say, listen, get this guy back here and get him processed, and we're going to start the process. Which a lot of people don't know is a good thing. Because once that process starts and they charge you, there's what they call the speedy trial law. They only have so much time to take you to trial. And that's a big thing in our Constitution, and it's very important.
Now, my lawyer was under the impression this was going to be a really easy thing. Go in, sit at a desk, fill out some paperwork, and then come back home. What should have tipped us off that it was not going to be that was the fact that I had to turn myself in at the county detention center.
Yes, he has to turn himself in at a county jail. That is a process that happens, and then they can process you and get you out from there, and they fingerprint you and you do that. Some police stations can actually do that. But in this case, they did it there. Obviously, again, I think his lawyer should have went with him. You don't just go alone. So if anybody's out there and they're telling you to report, go with your lawyer. Don't just take their word for it. Hey, things are going to be great. Because a lot of things happen bad in jails. And that this is the start of a process that you're going to learn about.
And they do things very differently there. My lawyer told me I could bring a book to read while I was there, to bring my daily medications because there was a chance I would need them, but not to bring all the bottles, just to bring that day's dosage. He told me to bring a card he had given me with his phone number on it, as well as the bail bondsman's phone number on it. And I dressed pretty much the same way I normally dress, which is a pair of sweatpants, t-shirts, and this is before I started wearing Crocs all the time. This is back when I still wore mostly tennis shoes, so I was wearing tennis shoes. I got to the detention center at 6 a.m. to turn myself in, and I stood out in the freezing cold for a while.
Obviously, the lawyers tells them what to bring, your book, your medicine, without no case, which, again, that's a pretty bad lawyering. The second thing he also told this guy to do was, report alone. Obviously, bring along. Yes, bring the phone number. You should have that number. You should, and he did. He had that and a bail bondsman. So if this lawyer even thinks he needs a bail bondsman, he should be there at the window of that detention center. When you walk into a detention center, there's a window with a guard or somebody at that window, a secretary or somebody asking your lawyer who you're going to see, if it's going to be a visit or what are you here for? I'm here to turn myself in. Here, I'm attorney John Smith. I'm representing Boogie2988. His real name is Francis, I think. And we'd like to just process him, and I'm here to bail him out or do whatever I need to do. Bring medicine without any bottles, not a good move. Processing early is smart. Obviously, he probably caught the shift change. So you got to understand that too. And that's why he's there at 6 in the morning and he's waiting. Maybe they have 12-hour shifts there, 6 to 6, or even 6 to 2. They have various different shifts. I would have found out what shifts they had on, and then I would have gone on right after that shift started. I wouldn't have been there early. That's not what I've been.
Until eventually they let me in, and boy, did they process me. The weirdest thing is that the two people that were in the middle of processing me, one of them was a younger guy in training, and he recognized me from YouTube and was actually really, really nice to me. So I probably got a better jail experience than the average person.
Well, obviously, if somebody recognized you in a positive way, you're going to have probably a better jail experience. But he's talking about the processing and how it starts and what they're going to do to him. And, you know, when I heard this, it's like, okay, I don't know what you thought. I mean, myself, I'm going to go into a little bit of this and what he should have did here in a minute.
Cause that guy was a fan. But they took my book away from me. They took my business card away from me and made me write those phone numbers down on a tiny piece of paper. And they don't even give you a real pen. They give you these little tiny pen cartridges.
Of course they're going to take a book away. What they don't know if there's anything in the seam or whatever, it's drugs or whatever. Obviously, they're going to take a piece of paper away, which they always do. You can't just carry cards or something around with you. You get your property piece of paper. Usually, it's your property receipt of what you gave in, and then on the back of that property receipt, you write something. Obviously, I understand what he's talking about with the pens. I've wrote with those pens many times. They are a flexible piece about yo big. It's almost like a pencil, but it's actually flexible, and it's just almost an ink cartridge itself. But it's in a little tube, actually. It's in a clear tube. And they'll use that, and that's what he had to write with.
Because they're afraid you could use a real pen for a weapon or something along that lines. They also got really mad at me for bringing unmarked medication with me. I should have brought them in the pill bottle. That apparently was not a thing you're supposed to do, but my lawyer had told me to do it.
Obviously, bringing pills into a jail, just loose pills, how do they know what they are? Are they going to go on the internet and look at them? Because, you know, I don't know if anybody knows that you could take a pill you find, usually has a number on it. You could look it up online and just put pill and the number and the color of it is, and it'll tell you what it is. But obviously, this lawyer's not starting off too swift with me. One, letting him go alone. Two, telling him to take a book. Like, what are you going to a fucking library? And two, telling you to take pills without the pill, just take that day's worth. That made no sense at all, obviously. And if you're going to be held in a jail, they're going to get you your medications, or they're supposed to get you your medication. So here's another thing. I'm going to tell you what he should have said after he starts the process.
Thankfully, I didn't get any trouble for that. But that's when they undressed me. First off, they took my shoes, and they didn't even give me a pair of slip-on booties like you get in the mental health ward. I was expecting at least that. But instead, I walked around the prison all day barefoot. They also took my sweatpants because sweatpants have a drawstring in them. And I guess a drawstring can be used as a weapon, so you can't have those either. And they actually made me wear prison pants.
I'm very surprised, two things. They let him walk around in bare feet. You don't see that. I don't think I've seen that. Obviously, they give you socks, or they give you the Bobo sneakers, the blue Bobo sneakers. They don't let you walk around in bare feet normally. Obviously, they're going to search you. They're going to do everything. And I always recommend, if you're going to go to jail, make sure you freshly shower in the morning, because you don't know when you're going to get a shower next, period. You know, there are some dirty, scummy people, in especially county jails. They're picking up homeless people. They're picking up people who are fucking drug addicts and crack addicts and ain't showering, and they're dirty and scummy. And I understand it. And, you know, part of me even feels for people, but those are mental people. But the jails are full of mental people. I mean, this poor guy had to experience something he probably, obviously, has never experienced. And that is a true search, which is getting totally naked, lifting your balls, turning around, lift your nuts, turn around, spread your ass, cough, like that means anything. Like, I can't hold something up my ass if I cough. That's the biggest laugher I think all of us prisoners used to laugh at. But they spread your ass, you lift your balls, they go like this, and you're gonna do your whole mouth. They go in and out. You can't have a hat. If you have hair, they make you go like this, you know, go through your hair, or they go through your hair. Obviously, I don't have any now. I did in a day. So they want to make sure that you have nothing in it. And there's a couple of reasons for that. It's not so much just what you can bring in. They don't want something you bringing in and then you die in. What happens if you bring heroin in there or fentanyl in there and you overdose on their watch? They don't want that either. Don't get me wrong. They're also looking for weapons of some sort. But mostly they're looking for is narcotics, addicts, suitcase stuff all the time. If they're knowing about jail, which most of them do, they will literally keep a package in a Kotex and insert it in their rectum while they're walking around. And if they get arrested, they know they got their heroin in the prison or even in the jail. And that's what they do.
If you ever thought Boogie's too fat to go to jail, he would not be able to do it, you are wrong, because here in Arkansas, they have prison clothes that go all the way up to 8X. They gave me a pair of 5X pants, and I fit fine in those.
That made me laugh. 8X pants. Man, I'm feeling good here. You know, I'm a big guy, and man, I don't think I'd take 5X either, so Boogie is a big guy. I'm a lot smaller than that, at least in that department. I mean, but 8X, wow, that is big.
And by the way, yes, they watch you change your clothes. They check everything. It's kind of like going through airport security, but naked. And that's when I started getting the real prison experience, right?
I don't know how we can compare that to airport security. No, this is real fucking security. This is where you're standing in one spot and you're lifting up and you're doing everything. It's not airport security at all. In fact, once you come through into the facility in a metal detector, they don't run metal detectors over you. Unless there's something new that I don't know, and I'm pretty up to date on stuff like this. So no, I've never seen that, you know, metal detectors. So it's not like airport security for sure. It's like being fucking searched in a prison.
You must walk with your hands behind your back. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not move unless you ask permission. They take away all of your rights.
That is very true. I don't know. We didn't have to walk with our hands behind our backs, but you couldn't just wander around. You can't walk any way you want. You're actually, you know, either held in a holding cell or whatever it is, and you don't even talk to people. I mean, it depends on the crazies that are banging on windows. But, you know, what really kind of makes me a little bit upset about that is this man's not convicted of anything yet. He is literally an innocent man. Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty in the United States? We treat people who are just arrested as if they're guilty. And that kind of hurts me. And that's my big problem with a lot of the jail systems. They don't treat people with dignity. They don't treat people with respect. And here they are, innocent people. They can be totally innocent people. And what an experience they're getting. And don't say, oh, that's just the way it is. Because it shouldn't be that way. Other places around the world don't do that.
Which is what prison is, obviously. But they also take away your dignity by patting you down, by checking your crevices, by checking everything, by taking away your clothes, by making you walk around barefoot. It is a dehumanizing experience.
Absolutely. Prison or even jails are a dehumanizing experience. And that hurts me because I sometimes feel like I could stand up right now, turn around, spread my ass, lift my nuts, do everything in front of the world, and I wouldn't give a fuck. And isn't it sad that I lost my dignity like that? I mean, I did that every day of my life for so many years that you do lose your dignity. You lose the kind of respect you want to have. You don't give a fuck. And that kind of hurts. I don't like to see people treated like that. And sadly, it happens all the time. And it's something I hope we could change somehow, some way in this system before I pass on in this crazy world.
Now, fortunately, I was the first one there that day, so I had their undivided attention as they were processing me, as we did the fingerprinting and taking my photos and filling out paperwork. And when it comes to my mugshot, by the way, here's my mugshot up on the screen now. Compare it to this one. This is Josh Duggar from that television show, the reality show.
Well, he's comparing... He was in the same jail as Duggar, the guy from the crazy show, and I think he was charged with some abuse, child abuse shit. Yes, you're going to be in there with the scum of the scum. I mean, jails are scummy. I mean, so are prisons, obviously. And, you know, you don't have rights. It takes your time. They're going to do everything. They're going to fingerprint you. They're going to photograph you. Now they have electronic fingerprints. It's usually not with the roller and all that kind of shit. But they have like things you put your hand in and it just takes your fingerprints. Put your hand up against like a metal bar, and they'll do that. Or some of the places still have the old fucking fingerprints, and they need to check them. And once you're checked and once you're fingerprinted, now your shit's in the system. So don't ever think it is. Don't think you can get it out of that system either. Once it's in there, you can't get it out of there. Which, I mean, not that I give a fuck about that, but it's in there forever. So they do the process. They'll know everything about you, and then they'll go from one. You're supposed to, and he doesn't talk about this yet, you're supposed to see a medical person. Even once you're processed, you see a medical person. Whether you get out or not, you're processed. unless they know you're leaving, and that's why I say they sometimes do this from jail, from police stations. But at the county jail, during inmate processing, intake they call it, you are seen by a psychologist and you're seen by a physical, just to ask you some physical questions and what medications you take. Do you have a mental issues? Do you have any heart conditions? What do you have? Do you have back conditions? Whatever they do, at least put that down. So I don't think they don't do that.
We got processed at the exact same place. I was standing exactly where Josh Duggar was, and woo, he did some messed up stuff. So that was awkward.
Messed up stuff? How about fucking sick bullshit crap against the kid? That's how I say it. Not messed up.
Something that struck me as odd, by the way, is they never read my Miranda rights to me. But I did sign a bunch of paperwork. So statistically speaking, my Miranda rights was probably in there at some point.
Okay, let me give him a little education on Miranda rights. Even the police don't have to give you your Miranda rights. And people go, what do you mean? If they don't ask you anything, they don't have to give you your Miranda rights. People say, well, he never read my rights. Well, he's not going to use anything. He didn't ask you any questions. He doesn't have to. Once they start questioning you, yes. And once you ask for an attorney, that has to stop to get as well. But they don't have to. A lot of people say, well, I was arrested. I was put in the back of the police car. He never read me my rights. He didn't even talk to you, did he? Nope, just put me in handcuffs, put me in the back of the car. Doesn't have to read you your rights. People get that wrong. If they get something out of you while they didn't give you your rights, they can't use that in court. Remember that. That's the big difference. But they don't have to read you your rights. That people get that wrong. So he obviously thought by him signing paperwork and stuff wouldn't mean anything. How would you know if he didn't read? What happens if he didn't read? You don't know that. You have to get a verbal commitment that you understand your rights. And if you don't understand them, they'll repeat them and they'll repeat them and they'll repeat it. And I'm talking about people who are interviewing you, not just fucking processing in a jail. Never been read my rights ever processing in a jail, in any jail for that matter.
But apparently that's a thing you won't always expect to hear when you're turning yourself in a situation like that. So that's something you should probably know as well. So eventually this bullpen area started getting really full, and that was nerve-wracking and terrifying for me. And eventually, an officer walked up to me and said, we would like to put you in a cell temporarily. We're moving some dangerous people through here. We would like to keep you safe. Would you follow me to a cell, sir? And I'm like, of course, obviously.
You know, they never ask you, oh, we'd like to do this. Now, let's go. You, over here, into this cell. They're all holding cells down there in a processing center. You're in the receiving and discharge. That's receiving. So when you come into a booking area, there's cells there, and they stick you in a cell. Now, as more people come in, they'll put more people in, and then they'll try to separate them or at least spread them out a little bit in that place, and they like to watch over them. Now, they're not going to ask you, oh, we'd like to keep you safe, you come here. I do get the drift in this case. They knew he was getting out. They knew he was going to post bond. They knew this was going to be a quickie, and let's just get him out. And for 4 hours or so, that's quick in the systems today. So don't think that's not. But they're not asking you to go to another cell to say, oh, we'd like to, would you like to be protected? We're going to put you in another cell. Now, yo, asshole, come here, get in that fucking cell. That's the way they talk to you.
This was not a made-for-TV prison cell, by the way. No cute bars or anything like that. This was a concrete room with nothing but concrete and a toilet in it. Even the bench that you're supposed to sit on was just more concrete. And then, of course, there's the giant, massive steel door that I came in. But even that has a window, but that window is sealed off.
Yes, he's in a holding cell. He's not in a prison cell. They have a toilet. The concrete is just made. It's the concrete bench. There's no cushions, no nothing. Some places don't have that. Sometimes I have a bench because I slept under them, slept on them, slept under them. I always took the toilet paper roll and used that as a pillow. But yes, that's all it's going to have is concrete wall and a steel door. This is not with lockers or bunk beds. This is not a place to hold you for any kind of length of time. They don't hold you. In fact, they're not allowed to hold you in there for so much time because there is no certain things they need there, like a window. Even though a window, you can't get out, and they can fog it, and they can do a lot of things. By the ADA accreditation, they can't leave you there for so long. Again, do they do it? I'm not even going to go there now, but by policy and by law, they're not supposed to.
And I'm in there for like an hour by myself with nothing but time and my thoughts, and that is scary for someone like me. Like, I was thinking all of the worst case scenarios, panicking constantly. I can't imagine what it's like to spend your life in a room like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't spend your life in there. Again, holding cell.
Eventually the door opens and I'm thinking, finally I can get out of here. Nope, they are actually adding somebody else to the cell. And it is a fellow prisoner, and that prisoner is irritated and agitated because he was supposed to be transferred that day for a court appearance, and it hasn't happened yet. So obviously I'm worried about the thing that's spreading everywhere at that point. I don't want to be in a small cell with somebody else.
Obviously, he was worried about COVID or whatever it is, and obviously they don't give a shit again. They're going to put somebody in a cell because it's a matter of putting people in where they can put them. You know, they start getting crowded, these jails, these processing centers, depending on the areas and stuff. Can you imagine New York City? It's a fucking zoo.
But then the fact that this guy is angry and agitated is likewise terrifying. And he immediately just zeroes in on me and starts talking to me. And my lawyer told me, don't make eye contact with anybody else. Don't talk to anybody else. Don't say anything. Don't do anything.
His lawyer gave him good advice there. You don't talk to anybody. You don't socialize. It's not about socializing. Really, he's telling you, don't talk about your case. Don't talk about any, because don't give anybody personal information because they might lie on some information you have. Totally, you don't do that. Absolutely not. Don't ever talk to anybody about anything in a county jail or any prison for that matter.
But I don't know what I'm doing, so this guy starts asking me questions. I start answering them. The guy first tells me his story and gets more agitated as he tells it, and then he asks me, what are you in here for anyway? And I'm like, I don't know, man, nothing, I guess, right? Because I'm not supposed to say anything. I'm not supposed to talk about anything. And he goes, oh, I guess you're too good for this place then, huh? And I'm like, buddy, we're all too good for this place. This is dehumanizing. This is degrading. I can't believe we treat even our worst criminals like this. This is fucking awful. I guess that was the right answer.
It was. He said the right thing. And it's true. But the guy, fuck him, you know. I tell the guy, shut your fucking mouth. The fuck, you shut your fucking mouth. Don't talk to me. I'm a little bit more aggressive than most, being I know the system so well. Obviously, he doesn't, and he's not built like I am for this. And I'm glad. I'm glad he's not. And I'm glad he got through this with his brains, and that's what helped him.
Because he calmed down immediately, and he was really nice to me from then on out. And I listened to his problems, and in most situations I'm a good listener, but in that situation, locked in a concrete room with a scary, dangerous criminal, I'm definitely a very, very good listener. And eventually they came to the door to let me out and let me get my phone call.
He really doesn't know if he was a dangerous criminal or not. Could have been a vagrant. Who knows what he was. But he did the smart thing. You know, just get the fuck up. Bide your time and get out of there. Good for you, Boogie.
And eventually they came to the door to let me out and let me get my phone call. And that was a frustrating experience too, because I guess the guy who was on phones that day was new. So no matter how many times I repeated them the number that I had written down on my piece of paper, he just couldn't get an outside line. We tried for like 45 minutes and I began to panic that I was never getting a hold of my bail bondsman. I was never getting a hold of my lawyer, even though I knew my lawyer's number was correct and the bail bondsman's numbers were correct. No matter how many times he tried to dial them, it wasn't happening.
That is why your lawyer should have went with you. Lawyer could have handled all of this up at the front, bailed you out, did everything, spoke to the bail bondsman. Hey, my guy's here, get him out. I never had to do that myself. I used to call the lawyer and say, get me the fuck out of here. And he would, I've done that from as far away as New Jersey, which I'm going to go into arrest when I was arrested in New Jersey one time. And they fucking come from Florida to get me out. They made the phone calls, they talked to the right people, they paid the right people, and before you know it, you're out of jail. You shouldn't have to do that, and his lawyer should have done that.
But finally I got a hold of the bondsman. They were there within an hour, and they finally packed me up and got me moving, took away my prison pants, gave me my street pants, and I was free back out into the world. Thank God. On my way out of the prison, my roommate came to pick me up because I wasn't supposed to drive there that day just in case. There was a couple of YouTubers out there, and they were holding up free Boogie signs, which I thought was really nice of them. I wanted to do a soundbite. I wanted to do an interview. I wanted to talk to them because they had their camera ready to go, I even wanted to take a picture with him.
I don't know how the YouTubers knew he was in jail. I often wonder if I got arrested, would other YouTubers or fans know I'm in jail? I would hope so, and I hope maybe they'd be there to support me some way. I'm not getting arrested, trust me. I will never get arrested, hopefully. Never say never in life. But I don't do anything to get arrested. You know, I'm not like that anymore. So here, Boogie gets out of jail. He had some people, he apologized for not going to YouTubers, and I give him a lot of credit. That's an experience from a regular guy in Arkansas County Jail. Now, if he would have did the things that I told him, he would have had a quicker, better experience, if there can be a better experience, and get the fuck out of there. We do need to change our jail systems totally. People are innocent. Most people in jails originally are arrested without convictions. Most people. Some are brought back on cases and trials and appeals and stuff like that. So there are people who get sentenced to under a year in jail. So if you get sentenced to under a year in jail, under 365 days, you stay in a county jail. If you get 365 days a year or more, 366 days, you go to a state prison. But a lot of the people are just getting arrested. And I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a DUI or a fight in a bar or whatever. It doesn't mean you're guilty. Just because you get arrested does not mean you're guilty. Sadly, a lot of the corrections staff in jails, you know, they get hardened to the system and everybody's a scumbag coming through here. And it's just not true. So I hope we do change that. One, I want to give Boogie a little credit for going through this and telling his experience. I hope he gets a better lawyer there. Maybe it's just the Arkansas way. I hope not. And I want you guys to understand, please make good choices, man. Don't go to jail. Think before you act. Treat people with respect. Things will happen and it'll be always better for it. Please, hope you like what I explained today. Good luck with Boogie. Have a great day, everybody. Please stay safe, make good choices, and help somebody every day. See you next time.